Hello, welcome to another segment of Your Right to Know, Our Pleasure to Tell. I am Malika Muffet. In the last few conversations, we've been speaking with ministers and senators under the United Progressive Party government. We've been highlighting the achievements from 2004 to 2014. I trust that you've been well educated over the past few evenings. In this segment, we will be speaking with Senator Joanne Massiah, and she has the responsibilities of trade, commerce, and industry. Throughout our conversation, she highlights the achievements under the United Progressive Party government from 2004 to 2014. Throughout our conversation, we encourage you to pay keen attention and feel proud of every single achievement. So stay tuned to this session of Your Right to Know, Our Pleasure to Tell. Welcome, Senator Massiah, to Your Right to Know, Our Pleasure to Tell. How have you been keeping?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here because indeed it is the viewer's right to know, and we are certainly delighted to tell and to give account of our stewardship over the past several years. But I've been doing relatively okay. Of course, with all the talking that I've been doing recently, my vocal cords perhaps a little strained.
Yes.
So I might come across as being a little husky. But other than that, I'm keeping well with God's grace.
Well, first of all, I must say you look very well, and I love your shoes. Women must talk about shoes.
Thank you so much.
Senator Massiah, you are known for three portfolios that you are basically responsible for: trade, industry, and commerce. Before we get a little more in depth to our conversation, can you expand a little bit on your responsibilities?
Well, I'm actually substantively in charge of four. The other being intellectual property and commerce.
Okay.
And the substantive minister for trade, industry, and commerce is actually the Honorable Harold Lovell.
Yes.
And in 2012, both he and the Prime Minister came together, had a discussion, and agreed that they would give me responsibility for these three portfolios. And since then, I've pretty much been working along with the technicians within the various ministries,
Yes.
as well as the sector stakeholders, in an effort to not only ensure that our policy prescriptions are being delivered, but to work very closely with them to ensure that we are able to respond in a timely and in a meaningful way to the ongoing global challenges which we've been facing since 2008, 2009, and which certainly have had adverse effects on certain sectors. And clearly, because of these challenges, notably the onset of the global economic crisis,
Yes.
the worst that we've experienced in 80 years since the Great Depression of the 1930s, a lot of businesses have had to respond perhaps in non-traditional ways, and government has been seeking to facilitate as best as possible these responses and to shift our policy objectives in order to keep our economy afloat and to ensure that our business people, our stakeholders, are able to hold their own as we would have, ridden this storm together.
Excellent. The two most significant accomplishments in both trade, industry, and commerce, what would you say they are?
Well, I would say the way in which we have responded, as I said earlier, to the global challenges. We would all know that around 2008, 2009, we began to experience a volatility never before seen in terms of the oil sector. And that in turn had a ripple effect on things that affect our everyday lives. For example, we not only saw the price of oil move from approximately $29, $30 a barrel, but it literally exploded and rose to over $100 a barrel for many, many years. That in turn had a ripple effect on the price of food, which became more expensive globally.
Yes.
We are high importers of food, and so the knock-on effects of that really created some significant shifts in our domestic economy. With oil drives everything in the world: manufacturing, industry, trade, commerce. And so with the fluctuations in the prices of oil, naturally the price of transportation,
Yes.
the containers, freight went up, insurance went up. And the government, through these very, very challenging periods, decided that where it could, we would try to ease the squeeze, as our Prime Minister likes to say, and give relief where possible. I believe the population would be aware, certainly drivers, that we would have cushioned the price of oil as it steadily rose. And throughout the Caribbean region, while other countries just allowed the increases to knock on,
Yes.
we held the price steady for a considerable period of time, because we appreciate that we had to do our best to cushion the financial blow to ordinary citizens and residents of Antigua and Barbuda. And so that is one, how we were able to respond to that volatility. I want to say that the leadership role that we would have played in regional and sub-regional organizations,
Yes.
namely the OECS and CARICOM, at those periods when Antigua and Barbuda assumed the chairmanship of these two very important bodies, is something that I am increasingly and significantly proud of. It so happens that when we were perhaps just at the peak of the global economic crisis, Antigua and Barbuda assumed the chairmanship of CARICOM, particularly that organ in the CARICOM community called COTED, the Council on Economic Trade and Development.
Yes.
And I would have assumed the chairmanship of that body, along with two key technicians, namely Dr. Clarence Henry and Ambassador Colin Murdoch.
Okay.
And so they would have been in charge, or would have led the discussions. They would have led the officials' side of the meeting, and I would have led the ministerial side of those many meetings. And we were able to encourage our colleagues in CARICOM of the need to devise some urgent solutions or remedies for the region's response, or responses, I should say, to the challenges occasioned by the global economic crisis, to the extent that many of the policy prescriptions that we would have put forward have been adopted, and we continue as a region to work and to massage these policy prescriptions for the betterment of the people of the region. So those two areas are areas that I would say that I'm significantly proud of.
Yes.
If I may just add, and I guess it would fall under these two responses, the government's responses as well. You would be aware that the Antigua and Barbuda Investment Authority continues to play a significant and a key role in the economic activity of Antigua and Barbuda,
Yes.
the facilitating of the investment climate for local investors as well as foreign investors. And the fact that we have been able to, through the Antigua and Barbuda Investment Authority, developed certain workshops, seminars, programs specifically aimed at small and micro businesses here in Antigua and Barbuda, really is a testament to the commitment and the levels of commitment and confidence that the government has in our local investors, whether it is somebody, a young man, a young woman, who something as that we take for granted, a cosmetology operation.
Yes.
Could be something as somebody seeking to set up business as a videographer, or somebody seeking to open a used car business, a tire repair shop. Sometimes in this country, we tend not to consider these people as investors, but indeed they are. They are investing their monies, their time, their talents, their expertise in this economy so that people like you and I are able to benefit and take advantages of opportunities that otherwise we would travel overseas, even within the region, to obtain. So the government's responses to facilitating these investors, I think, has just been sheer brilliant.
Senator Massiah, I have a list of questions, and you just went through.
Okay, I covered them all.
Majority of the questions you covered, because I can sense the passion in your role, and I can sense that you take it very serious when it comes to trade and in commerce and industry. What is the reception like from the stakeholders, the individuals who are involved to make your job easier?
I'd want to say that the stakeholders have been very receptive. They have been facilitating. They've been cooperative. They've been proactive, because they understand that this is not a challenge simply and solely for the government. They understand that together it requires our concerted and our coordinated and our collective efforts to make Antigua and Barbuda work. Each person, each business, each technician, each stakeholder has a role to play. Each citizen, each resident has a role to play. And Antigua and Barbuda has been reclassified as a middle-income country. That has both positive and adverse repercussions. I believe most of us would be aware that years ago we were able to benefit from concessionary financing and developmental aid. But because we are now considered a middle-income country, those levels of assistance are no longer available. And that requires the government to be more creative in terms of how it will finance programs, in terms of what it will do in order to stimulate economic growth and these types of situations. On the positive side, in terms of the reclassification, we are ranked very, very highly in terms of our human development capital. And what that does, it gives investors confidence that they can come into our country, assess the situation, the educational levels of our people, our adaptability, our readiness to seize opportunities which they are hoping to bring here for their benefit and for our benefit. When you look, for example, at this gate facility and the numbers of young people who are being trained, we are in effect creating a ready cadre of young professionals who are able to seize opportunities that arise and will arise in our economy without investors having to bring in everybody, outside people, to perform duties and responsibilities and tasks that our young people or our people generally have been trained to execute and who have the experience to deliver in a meaningful way. Let me also add that the reclassification, and coupled with the challenges occasioned by the global economic crisis, placed us in a position where the government had to create a renewed policy prescription. And I make mention specifically of our NEST plan, the National Economic Social Transformation Plan. That was our response, our own homegrown response to how we would deal with the crisis. And we are proud of this because 3 years ago, when we opted to approach the IMF for assistance, unlike what happened and obtained in the past, where the IMF would come into a country and give you a laundry list of things that you had to do in order to access financing, we were able to present to the IMF our NEST plan and to detail in that plan exactly what our responses would have been. So essentially, rather than being dictated to, we had a conversation which they respected, and we were able to access financing to essentially stabilize our economy and to ensure that Antigua and Barbuda worked, that it functioned, that there were not crises so severe that the government had no answer to. And I think for that, the government has to be commended. You may be aware, you should be aware, that one of the undertakings, one of the promises that the government made to our public servants was that we would not lay off one single public servant. Because that has repercussions, not just for the employee, but for the family. And so we've kept true and faithful to that promise. And we have crossed and passed the worst in our economy. We are on an upward surge, and I have every confidence that with the stakeholders, with the technicians, all of us working together, we are indeed going to experience, again, the best of what Antigua and Barbuda has to offer. Let me also share that in terms of the business climate, one of the aspirations that we have as a government, and we are working in earnest to achieve, is to improve our rankings in the IFC, that's the International Financial Corporation, a subsidiary of the World Bank, to increase our rankings when it comes to doing business. There are little things that deter investors. For example, the length of time it takes to register a business, how integrated our certain systems are. We've spoken at length about our desire to establish essentially a one-stop shop facility where, whether the investor be local or foreign, that individual can come to a facility and make an application, and in the quickest and shortest possible time, we're able to have them established, approve their businesses, get them registered in terms of their tax identification numbers, get them registered in terms of their employer numbers for our statutory corporations, Social Security, medical benefits, education levy. And it is factors such as this which really give and drive investor confidence, which will eventually inure to the benefit of all of us here in Antigua and Barbuda.
The view of business and Antigua and Barbudan empowerment of our young people has been your main focus. I can sense through your conversations and the many participation in the Senate on behalf of your portfolio. For young entrepreneurship in Antigua and Barbuda, what is the change, or what has been the change in the last 5 to 10 years?
That's an excellent question. And indeed, a responsible government would seek to ensure that in the development and in crafting of its policy prescriptions, it seeks to cast a wide enough net to cover critical components of our population. The most vulnerable groups being the very young and the elderly. Those of us caught in the middle, young persons who are either graduating from school or who have graduated from university, those who are on the upward trajectory and who will be peaking and who will be coming down gradually. We have to ensure that the programs and the policies which we pursue bring meaningful benefit to all these sectors of our population. As a developing country operating in the 21st century, we are keenly aware of the need to diversify our economy, of the passion and the drive that young people have towards what can be termed non-traditional sectors. And again, refer to this facility, the GATE facility, which has devised several components of its policy to ensure that young people, young men, young women, persons who are able-bodied and persons who are differently abled, to be able to seize opportunities, because the new economy, as it is referred to globally, will see persons, business people, participating in the economy, not necessarily from a desk in a building,
Yes.
but from their homes, barefooted, bare-chested,
True.
using a computer, a tablet, some sort of ICT tool
Yes.
to bring businesses and services to the people of our respective countries. I often marvel at Bill Gates, for example. When I've watched documentaries about Bill Gates, he's more concerned about the brain matter that you bring to his business and not what you wear. In fact, I saw a documentary some time ago where he encouraged a barefoot culture. If you feel comfortable in your bare feet, that's fine. If you feel comfortable just in a t-shirt or a tank top,
Yes.
that's okay. Because the development of a new ICT device has nothing to do with your shoes or your clothes.
True.
It has to do with how best you're able to use your natural talents, the skills that you would have developed to ensure that his business stays ahead of the pack. And so, again, this GATE facility, in respect of your programs in videography,
Yes.
cinematography, etc., are positioning those young people who want to enter into these non-traditional sectors to be able to seize opportunities and to take advantage of new technologies which are so widely available across the globe. I also want to mention that the government would have developed the LEAP program, the Leadership in Excellence Awards program, which specifically targets university graduates and state college graduates, because we also have a responsibility in terms of our succession planning to ensure that we have a sizable cadre of young people who are being positioned, trained, and exposed to assuming the mantle of leadership in the service. We're going to need to ensure that as persons retire, we have people entering the system who understand exactly how the public service works, who understand the interrelatedness of ministries, who understand how government financing operates. Those persons who will become PASs, SASs, permanent secretaries, and most importantly, to ensure that we have the right minds, the right people with the right attitude to fill positions as technicians, and who are able to interface not only with stakeholders and ordinary people locally, but who are able to attend workshops, seminars, meetings, conferences overseas on behalf of the people of Antigua and Barbuda and represent us in a meaningful and persuasive way, and to be able to derive benefits for our country. we also have developed programs that seek to target those persons whose aptitude is towards vocational training and skills, because everyone can't sit in an office, everyone can't sit from the comforts of their home to take advantages of new technologies and ICTs. Because when you strip all of that away, we will always have need for plumbers, electricians, masons, carpenters, persons involved in auto body repair, auto mechanical repair, persons who are into clothing construction, shoe and apparel repair. And so any thoughtful government, as we are, would seek to capture and to devise meaningful programs that it exposes to its citizens and residents, so that there's not a lopsided situation, and that our country works at every tier. And so the United Progressive Party has been purposeful, and I deliberately use that word. We have been purposeful in devising our policies, our programs, and our prescriptions, because we understand that people like me, we will not be around forever. We ought not want to be around forever at this level. That we have to pave the way. We have to create training and educational and practical opportunities and experiences for those younger persons who are coming up and who, as I said earlier, will assume the mantles of leadership, not just in government, in their communities, in social clubs, in their churches, in their families. And it is important that government, along with the churches, along with families, play our respective roles to ensure that when it comes to issues of sustainability on all levels, that we are there, that indeed our country will continue to develop in a meaningful way, in a way where people, particularly young people, recognize that there are opportunities right here at home. And they don't have to travel far outside of this country to be able to make a meaningful contribution to the development of Antigua and Barbuda. We've got to arrest what in the past has been a critical brain drain, because I have confidence in the people of Antigua and Barbuda. I have confidence in the young people of Antigua and Barbuda to understand that as the next generation, that they have a significant opportunity and responsibility to ensure that Antigua and Barbuda develops meaningfully and sustainably.
Senator Massiah, time does not permit us to go through all of the significant achievements of the United Progressive Party. I know that you've mentioned the LEAP program and a few other programs that have been implemented so as to enhance the sustainability and the advancement of young people and business in Antigua and Barbuda. Is there any other project that you have failed to mention that the people should know about? Because it's their right to know, and of course it's your pleasure to tell.
Absolutely. There are so many that I think in the short space of time, we could not do justice to everything that the United Progressive Party has done for and on behalf of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. But specifically in respect of my portfolio responsibilities, we have recognized the need, which was not purposeful in the past, to ensure that small businesses are able to take advantage of government contracts. You know, in any country, the biggest business is the government. Government's business is the biggest business. And we have deliberately, conscientiously, and purposefully devised policy prescriptions, again, that seek to ensure that 25% of all government contracts facilitate small and micro businesses participating in the execution of these contracts. That is deliberate because it is small businesses that really drive and support the economy of our country.
Yes.
When you look, for example, at any major function that that a country may have, let's look at carnival or any sort of festivities. The number of vendors are business people.
Yeah.
They're businessmen, they're business women. Whether they are barbecuing, whether they're selling some of our local delights, conch water, goat water, fish water, whether it's the peanut vendor, these are small businesses. You have, for example, a contractor who, is considered a small investor, a small business, and there's a government contract. You may, for argument's sake, earmark the tiling of that project, that government project, to a small contractor. Of course, there is the requirement to adhere to the tender process, which is critical and which has built into it the necessary levels of transparency and accountability, and for which small businesses must also adhere. We have developed the Small Business Development Act, again, seeking to ensure that our small and micro businesses have the necessary information, following the necessary government regulations to ensure their own success. We have, for example, I spoke earlier about the establishment of the Antigua and Barbuda Investment Authority.
Yeah.
I believe many people would be aware of a program called Mind Your Business.
Yes.
That covers a wide range of areas that people in business must become familiar with, whether it is to register your business, whether it is to ensure that you have gone to Social Security and medical benefits and registered, because you could be a sole proprietor, you could have 2 employees, 3, 5, 10, 25, whatever the number. There is a statutory and other legal requirements that as a business person, you have not only to yourself and the state, but to your employees.
Yes.
We have seen in the past, and we are sadly seeing a situation where too many small business persons, contractors, never registered with Social Security, and they're retired now, and they have nothing to look forward to.
And would that be as a result of lack of knowledge, or?
It is a lack of knowledge. I think it is also a lack of purposeful planning on the part of previous administrations.
Yes.
Because we all will get to that point in our working life when we retire, when our income is reduced.
Yes.
But the cost of living will continue to go up. We have too many of these people. And so the Investment Authority and other government agencies are ensuring that small and micro businesses do what is required of them legally, statutorily, to ensure their business success, as well as come retirement.
Yes.
As business men and women, you're able to take care and take advantage of opportunities that are available to retiring and retired persons. Let me give a specific example. Through our participation in the Petro-Carib initiative, we have developed a program called the Senior Citizen Utility Subsidy Program,
Okay.
where every Social Security pensioner on attaining the age of 60 years is eligible to participate in this program if this person so desires. So on attaining the age of 60, which is our retirement age at this time, Social Security will send a letter out to those persons little months in advance, advising that they are soon to be retired. There is also a very good working relationship between our Petro-Carib office and the Social Security office. So we are aware of who these persons are. It is a voluntary program. If you don't want to participate, you don't have to participate. But what the government has done in seeking to again ease the squeeze and in ensuring that our seniors are able to take care of themselves, we have made available a utility subsidy program where every Social Security pensioner is able to sign up and be eligible to receive $100 monthly, which that pensioner uses towards the payment of their utility bills, whether it is water, electricity, or telephone. However you want to apportion that $100. If you want to send all to electricity, it's fine. It's your choice. Everything to your telephone, your landline, that is, that's fine. You want to do half-half, you want to cut it in a third, you want to ignore one bill, maybe you don't use your landline that much and your monthly bill is $34.50. It's your choice.
Yeah.
But only Social Security pensioners are able to participate. So we have seen persons who are over 60 come in, but they're not Social Security pensioners. They've never participated in the Social Security scheme.
Yeah.
And so they're not eligible to participate in this specific program. But government has other programs that seeks to bring relief to our seniors in respect of their utilities. Let me also make mention of the credit guarantee scheme,
Yes.
which seeks to assist small businesses to get on their feet. And this is a program where the government will stand as a guarantor for your business idea of up to 80% of your capital. Of course, it's not as simple as I said, because you have to qualify. You have to bring something to the table, because after all, it is your business. But we also recognize that new businesses, startup businesses, have a lot of challenges because the global banking system is not set up in a way that really facilitates them. Yeah. And it is here again that the Investment Authority plays a critical role, because in order to seek to obtain financing, whether it be from a commercial bank or credit union or any other non-traditional lending agency or institution, you have to have a business plan.
Yes.
On paper. It cannot be in your head. It has to be documented.
Yes.
And that institution has to test it against established protocols and variables.
Yes.
To see whether this business idea, how you plan to run your business, is viable, it's sustainable, and it will be successful to the degree that you're able to repay your loan obligations.
Yes.
And so the Investment Authority again creates and facilitates programs where it teaches young entrepreneurs about business planning, about setting it up. You're going to need to have somebody who's familiar with accounting to test your assumptions.
Yes.
And these are some of the areas where the government of Antigua and Barbuda, the Baldwin Spencer administration, has purposefully put programs in place to assist our young and budding entrepreneurs. These are some of the things we would have done
Just to talk a little bit more about the loan guarantee scheme,
Yes.
how long has it been implemented, and on an average, what is the success rate for persons who have participated in the loan guarantee scheme?
It has been ongoing for a few years.
Okay.
In fact, I believe we have recently raised the ceiling to projects that do not exceed 200,000 EC dollars.
Okay.
And from my information, it has been fairly successful. I just believe that perhaps more entrepreneurs need to be familiar
Yes.
with this facility, which has been made available to them. But I want to say that as an administration, certainly from 2004 to present, we have seen, if we've been paying attention, we have seen an administration that lives and gives real life to the axiom that a government will take care of you from cradle to grave. We take our responsibility to the people of Antigua and Barbuda very, very seriously. We have not shirked in our responsibility. We will not shirk in our responsibility because our commitment to the people of Antigua and Barbuda is solid. It's sincere. And we are committed to continuing to do good and right by the people of Antigua and Barbuda.
Senator Massiah, we're in the season of elections. Yes. We're just a few months away. What has the reception been like for you, your preparation process, and what are your expectations?
Well, I'm going to answer you, but not necessarily in that order.
Yes.
In terms of my expectations,
yes,
I want to say that with God's help and with the full confidence of the constituents of the All Saints East and St. Luke constituency, I have every belief, every confidence that I will win that seat and the United Progressive Party will again win the government. In terms of the reception, it has been just simply wonderful. And when I launched my bid in that constituency,
yes,
the theme that I used was that I am home. I have come home.
Okay.
Because I was born in the All Saints community.
Okay.
Right at the crossroads. Right there. My parents were teachers.
Okay.
We lived at the crossroads.
Yes.
And I was born. I grew up there during my formative years because, as a constituent reminded me just yesterday, back in those days, teachers were moved a lot. And so my parents were moved from community to community. I have one of my siblings, my older sister. She was born in Paramtown.
Okay.
The two siblings after me were born in Bethesda because my parents were transferred.
Yes.
And later to Sweets and then to All Saints. So I am home. And I'm delighted to be home. And the reception, as I said, continues to be so encouraging in every community that comprises the All Saints East and St. Luke constituency. My father was born in a small village called Sockholts,
okay,
which is in the John Hughes community. And so I have a lot of family littered there. I think my roots have been so well established that as a branch of those strong roots, I am really feeling, experiencing, living the benefits of those roots. And so I am home. From Old Road to Jonas Road, I am home. And I'm delighted to be home. And I've said to the constituents. I'm not a politician who goes around making a lot of promises.
Yes.
I've told them my principal promise is that I will not disappoint you, because those elements that would cause disappointment, however broadly you want to define it, I believe are within my control. Yes. I can promise what is within my control. But separate and apart of that, I certainly am fully committed to being a representative that people can be proud of.
Yes.
That is my commitment. And as I said, as I started, with God's help and His grace,
yes,
and with the support, the confidence, and the encouragement of the constituents from Old Road to Jonas Road, I have every expectation that I will win that seat, because my team and I, we're taking nothing for granted.
Yes.
You know, persons have said, oh, well, that's traditionally, that's a safe seat for the PLM and the UPP. I am one who believes that there is nothing that is called a safe seat.
Yes.
You've got to work for what you want. I'm a worker. I believe the people of Antigua and Barbuda know that I am a worker.
Yes.
I am persevering. I am God-fearing.
Yes.
And I'm taking nothing for granted. I am working the ground. We are pounding the pavement.
Yes.
We are seeking to interact with every constituent, save and except those who say, don't come into my yard. But
okay,
as I've said to them,
yes,
when I win, I will represent your interests as well. I'm not seeking only to solicit the support of persons who support the UPP, the blue side. I am seeking the support of all the constituents, knowing well that I can't get all, but certainly sufficient to put me in the majority, so that I will bring home that seat for the United Progressive Party.
Senator Massiah, this edition of Your Right to Know, Our Pleasure to Tell, is there anything that you have not mentioned?
There's so much.
I know. But is there anything in specific you would like to mention? Because we're entering into a very serious election period. This is the third term that we're aiming for the United Progressive Party. And there have been a lot of chatter. There have been a lot of information, a lot of things that have not been said the way that it should be said. So on this edition of Your Right to Know, Our Pleasure to Tell, what would you like to tell those listening?
I want to tell the listeners that in assessing who you believe should have your vote, your confidence for the next 5 years, I urge the listeners to take a critical and analytical view and assessment of the past 20 years. I think you are duty bound, if I may say so, to compare the period 2004 to 2014 and juxtapose that against the period 1994 to 2004, where you would have had the benefit of experiencing the policies, the programs, the conduct of two parties in government, each having a 10-year period. We call it the 10 for 10. Compare the 10 years, 1994 to 2004, with the 10 years, 2004 to now 2014, and critically analyze both governments. Critically analyze the Lester Bird administration versus the Baldwin Spencer administration. Critically analyze the programs and the policies between 1994 and 2004 and 2004 and 2014. And ask yourself which government has been more purposeful in devising policies and programs and in executing programs and policies which have inured to the benefit of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. The United Progressive Party, as I keep saying, I've said repeatedly in this program, has been purposeful
Yes.
in terms of its policy prescriptions. I recall the whole 10 years very, very vividly. But I recall in particular the first administration under Baldwin Spencer, that 2004 to 2009 period, when we were brand new,
Yes.
where none of us had any experience in government, and which the Antigua Labour Party used as one of its key campaign propaganda. No, not propaganda, because we're new. We used that as key campaign tool to say, don't allow these people, they're novices. But you know what we had? We had a determination to do well, to do right by the people of Antigua and Barbuda. We had an unflinching commitment to restoring the name and credibility of our country. We had an obligation, as we saw it, to ensure that the vulnerable in our society were taken care of better. We understood that in order to develop our country meaningfully, education had to play a key and critical role. I make reference all the time to a speech which Barack Obama gave, and the world over, I dare say that the majority of black people are proud of the achievements of Barack Obama.
Yes.
He has shattered the glass ceiling in America. And in shattering that glass ceiling, he has made and opened up tremendous opportunities for people of color.
Yes.
And I have every confidence that in the not too distant future, the United States of America will have a female president.
Yes.
It will have presidents of other ethnic origins. And I'm saying all that to say that Barack Obama asked a rhetorical question. He said, who would have thought that a black boy being raised by a single parent could have risen to occupy the seat of the President of the United States of America? And he said, there's just one answer: education. What we have done in respect of education, I'm getting a little emotional here, has been sheer phenomenal. When you look at the significant number of scholarships and other training opportunities that the taxpayers of this country, facilitated by the government, has been purposeful in allocating, all because we understand that education is the key to pulling oneself up. And it's not just tertiary education. We've started from the preschools. Because the process of education, to me, being a child of teachers, is similar to that of building blocks. If your foundation is weak, you're going to have a problem.
True.
You may be able to overcome the problem, but you're going to have a problem. We have determined, purposefully so, that we would open up public preschool facilities, particularly for those single parents who are unable to pay for private preschool. That is purposeful. We have, through the Ministry of Information and Technology, ensured that every preschool is computerized. We have to be able to track our students from beginning, from preschool to tertiary and beyond. When we devised and developed, executed the National School Meals Program, for example, that was purposeful. And I remember a conversation I had with our Prime Minister, the Honorable Winston Baldwin Spencer, when he said to me in 2005, we've got to get this thing off the ground. I knew where I grew up. I knew the challenges that my mother had. I know what it is to be hungry and to be at school. And we've got to get this National School Meals Program off the ground. But I knew that from my parents as well. Because I remember as a child, my mother would take, it wasn't as fancy as the school lunches they had, but she would take sandwiches and juice to school every day. For children we didn't even know, but who, didn't have a meal to go to at home. And so the technicians and I put all the passion we had into devising and implementing that National School Meals Program, recognizing that we were not, could not, would never compromise sanitation and safety standards. We started in 2006, September the 11th, with 9 pilot schools. We're up to 23 now, and more to come. When you think about the tablet initiative, the laptop initiative for teachers, and we are readying our students for a world outside of Antigua and Barbuda. That is purposeful planning. And these are some of the things that our electors must think about.
Yes.
We have raised the level of our bilateral relationships so that we have been able to negotiate meaningful benefits for the people of Antigua and Barbuda. Not too far from this facility, we understand that tourism will continue to be the driver of our economy for the next however many years. We understand that we are trying to boost our numbers with tourist arrivals. We understand that we are seeking new markets. And in this purposeful planning and strategizing, there's need for a new airport facility. And we have, as a government, through our bilateral relations, ensuring that our ambassadors are working to their fullest potential. We have, as a government, through the facilitation of Ambassador David Showell, we are witnessing the nearing of construction of a spanking, brand new, state-of-the-art airport terminal, complete with jet bridges that will be able to have bigger planes, increased numbers of passengers coming to our shores. That is purposeful planning.
Yes.
Because we understand that the opportunities for the future are infinite. These are some of the things that the electors of Antigua and Barbuda must think about.
Finally, Senator Massiah, you have been chosen as a candidate in 2014 general elections. Should the United Progressive Party be re-elected for government, would you like to continue your portfolio on the trade, industry, and commerce, or would you like to assign a new portfolio?
I am happy to serve the people of Antigua and Barbuda in whatever capacity the Prime Minister assigns to me. So I welcome any new opportunity.
Yes.
But I would simply say that I would welcome a ministry that is not typically considered one that in which women serve. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
That's all you say
Yes,
on that
I
one.
wouldn't want to specifically name a ministry.
Yes.
But a ministry where globally
Yes.
women are not typically assigned.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'll take that answer.
I would just simply close by saying that I am seeking the support of the electors of this country for the United Progressive Party. And it has been my pleasure to share with you what we have done and are continuing to do, because it is your right to know.
And those at home viewing and our listening audience, this is Your Right to Know, Our Pleasure to Tell. And with us is Senator Joanne Massiah. I am Massiah. Thank you.